extremely soon, and my administration will then coordinate the distribution of the vaccine, and it will be approved. I think, again, it will be approved very, very quickly, we hope.
The death toll also steadily rising. In just the 7-day period that ended Wednesday, nearly 8,000 Americans died. Health officials are also gearing up for the biggest ever vaccination effort in the U.S., as you just heard. Once a vaccine is approved, it will be distributed to hundreds of millions. That will involve prioritizing who gets it when and ensuring that whoever does get an initial shot returns for the much-needed second one. Federal officials say the first vaccine could earn emergency use authorization early next month. An agreement is now official with some pharmacies to offer free vaccines once they become available. The deal covers major chain drugstores, grocery market pharmacies, and other networks. Some names on the list include Rite Aid, Walmart, Walgreens, and Costco. Overall, the agreement accounts for about 3 in 5 pharmacies in every single state and also some U.S. territories. Governor Abbott announcing more COVID-19 antibody therapies are being sent to hospitals across the state. Abbott says that Eli Lilly and Company therapy will be distributed as early as next week to acute care hospitals. These weekly shipments are being provided to the state at no cost. Texas A&M reporting more than 100 rural hospitals have closed across the country since 2010. Nearly 20% of those were here in Texas. So Aggie doctors are trying to fix the problem. Tonight, 25 News reporter Dennis Turner has more.
When Milam County's 2 hospitals closed down, they put folks like Sherry Meck in a bad spot.
And we do most of our doctor's appointments in College Station, which is an hour drive from me.
And if you're just passing through, listen to this. Here's something important to consider. Travel through certain parts of Texas could get risky, especially if your travels take you through places like Milam County, which have no hospitals for 30 miles or more. Milam still has a few doctors, but it can take a while to see them. And let's not even get into emergencies.
A night. He spent a night in College Station, usually waiting on the emergency room.
Or Round Rock, Taylor, Waco, or Temple, which have the nearest hospitals. It got County Judge Steve Young thinking outside the box about hospitals.
There's 26 that have recently closed. There's 46 in the state that are operating in the red. So we've been looking for anything we can to try to fix that.
He found this.
Just a TV here.
An inside-the-box solution. Telemedicine. A doctor on TV.
Doing good.
Texas A&M, which began an online mental health program, this year added regular medicine to the lineup, and not a moment too soon, as coronavirus cases kept popping up. Patients at the OnMed kiosk helped the TV doctors by putting on their own blood pressure cuff and moving the stethoscope around so the remote doctor can hear. The trade-off? They can actually see the same telemetry the doctor does, and even get prescriptions on the spot. Telemedicine could never totally replace Milam County's 2 lost hospitals, but it could fill an important gap, especially on nights and weekends when local doctors' offices close down. Sherry Meck says the doc in a box gives her a little peace of mind.
I'll drive to 15 minutes or less is a lot better than driving an hour.
Because when it comes to medical treatment, sometimes we don't have hours. In Milam County, Dennis Turner, 25 News.
A&M's telehealth program for mental health already operates in several locations there in Brazos Valley. A coalition of federal and state officials are saying the 2020 election was the most secure in history. That comes from a joint statement by the Elections Infrastructure Government Coordinating Council and also the Sector of Executives Committee. Despite claims from President Trump of voting fraud, the coalition says there's no evidence that any state voting system had deleted, lost, or changed any votes on a widespread basis. President Trump is backing off his election challenge in Arizona. Lawyers for the president dropping a lawsuit calling for a review of ballots because the margin of victory there is too wide now. On Saturday, the Trump campaign first filed the lawsuit for a hand review, claiming some voters were confused on Election Day and thought their votes might be counted as overvotes. Mission accomplished. That is what the Postmaster General says about election mail. Louis DeJoy attended a meeting earlier with the U.S. Postal Service Board of Governors. Let's listen to what he has to say.
In the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic, our own serious financial and operational challenges, and despite substantial political rhetoric and misleading sensationalization, we kept our focus on the mail and met the needs of the nation.
In all, DeJoy says the USPS delivered more than 600 million pieces of election mail, which includes ballots and other communications to voters from election officials. They also delivered 4 billion pieces of political mail. The Texas legislature will soon begin the daunting task of redistricting. Every 10 years, the legislature and Board of Education redraw district lines. The goal is to create roughly equally populated districts to match our population growth. The new maps are expected to hand at least a few safe years to the state's Republican ruling majority. Most assume that any maps the legislature draws will head to the courts, with Democrats likely to claim racial discrimination because of the way they were drawn up. Meantime, some Democratic lawmakers are hoping the state budget, devastated by COVID-19, could become an opportunity to legalize and tax recreational pot. But the chances of key Republicans passing a bill like that are still slim. State lawmakers argue that the tax revenue and jobs created by a retail market for cannabis could help the economy that's been devastated by the pandemic. Now let's get a check on our weekend forecast with meteorologist Josh Johns.
Yeah, and we had the cloud cover that was pretty heavy out there today, thanks to a little cold front that tried to come down, washed out over central Texas. But now we're even seeing some of that cloud cover clear. As you look on our Exco Eagle Eye, Lake Waco, you're seeing the sun set a little bit. Temperatures in the mid-70s right now. Your dew point's at 62, so it is still humid. Southeast winds are going to keep that moisture rolling on in. We even had a few showers that showed up in eastern McLennan County earlier this afternoon. You can see those kind of dissipate as they moved over there towards the reservoir. And then we're seeing another little area of showers down towards Navasota. Those may sneak up towards Bryan College Station. And overnight, I think we'll still see the moisture hanging around. So the potential for some drizzle, maybe some light showers after around 10 o'clock. Otherwise, it stays cloudy and temperatures don't move much, kind of hanging around the upper 60s. Overnight, they'll fall down to the mid 60s, though, maybe even lower 60s for some of our northern counties. And then tomorrow, we'll start out cloudy, but the sunshine will come back in the afternoon, and I think we'll be able to muster into the low 80s once again with another warm day on the way. That's going to be changing, though, coming up a little bit later in the forecast. We'll be talking about that next cold front that's going to be sneaking on in early Sunday, and does it bring any rain to our area? I'll have that answer coming up in just a little while. Todd?
Josh, we'll see you in just a minute. It's Friday in Texas, and that means one thing around here: football. Coming up, we'll get a preview of tonight's game of the week. Plus, the holiday shopping season is fast approaching, which means porch pirates are coming out. We'll explain. The father and son duo charged with shooting a black jogger to death will not be getting out of jail anytime soon. A Georgia judge refusing their bond request of Gregory and Travis McMichael today. They're charged with murder in the death of Ahmaud Arbery from back in February. Prosecutors say the McMichaels chased him in their truck and confronted him. They are pleading not guilty. An Arkansas police officer was killed trying to take down a shooting suspect earlier. The Helena West Helena police chief says officers pulled over an SUV and the passengers started shooting. He has since been identified as 29-year-old Latarius Howard, wanted in connection to a shooting earlier this month. Local, state, and federal investigators are still searching for Howard and that SUV tonight. It is Friday night, which means we are gearing up for another night in the Central Texas Red Zone. 25 Sports reporter Jack Allen is live tonight at our game of the week, and it's a huge crosstown rivalry. Hey, Jack.
Hey, Todd. When Harker Heights and Shoemaker square off, it's always a big game, and that's no exception this season. Both teams came into 2020 with playoff expectations. Both made the playoffs back in 2019, and when they square off here at Leo Buckley Stadium tonight, it will go a long way toward determining their playoff fate. And for Harker Heights, it also serves as a big game on their quest to make school history.
They call themselves a team of destiny, one of the best Harker Heights teams in recent history, trying to do something they haven't done in more than 15 years, win 7 games.
That was just kind of a goal, and we felt like if we could get to 7 wins, that would put us in the playoffs. And so that goal is still attainable and achievable, and we control that destiny.
It hasn't been done since 2003. I was born in 2003. It'll be a great accomplishment.
Early in the year, that fate turned to misfortune. After losing 2 of their first 3 games to start district play, the Knights hit another bump in the road when Belton was forced to postpone their Week 7 matchup with the Knights because of COVID-19.
The season is important to them, and you know, we're crossing our fingers and saying our prayers that we can get all 10 games in, and it looks like we're going to get that opportunity.
Now they'll face an uphill battle if they want to meet their date with destiny. They'll have to win each of their last 4 games.
It hasn't been done since 2003. So I feel like if we do this now, it'll set the tone for the rest of the years after us.
The first hurdle may be the tallest as the Knights take on crosstown rival Shoemaker. The winner will likely hold the title of Best in Killeen.
That adds a little bit more to it, a little bit more bragging rights. You know, Shoemaker got us in overtime last year, and so our kids hadn't forgot that, and so they're ready to go out and try to win.
I feel like since this is one of the top teams in the district, I feel like if we knock them off their pedestal, we can knock anybody else off.
And with the win, they hope to be knocking on destiny's door once again.
Kickoff for this one at Leo Buckley Stadium is set for 7:30 tonight. As always, you can catch highlights from our game of the week and so many more across Central Texas tonight in the Red Zone. For now, in Killeen, Jack Allen, 25 Sports.
Jack, thank you. Let's go ahead and bring in Josh Johns. And Josh, it looks like a beautiful night out there.
Yeah, it's just going to be a little bit on the muggy, kind of humid side outside, so it'll feel like a damp night. It won't be too chilly, though. We're going to see temperatures that'll mainly be in the 60s if you're heading out to that game of the week between Harker Heights and Shoemaker or anywhere else across Central Texas. Temperatures will be in the low 70s to start off the game. They won't move much, maybe drop it about 2 degrees, and we may see a little bit of patchy drizzle develop after around 9 or 10 o'clock. This was what should be the Exco Eagle Eye in Coppers Cove. Instead, decided to pull up Lake Waco, so we'll just show you the temperatures that are outside right now. Mid-70s from Waco over towards Temple, Killeen, lower 70s out towards Gatesville, and still holding on to upper 70s along the I-45 corridor, and that is because you've seen a little bit less cloud cover today, but everyone's seen the humidity work back in. We're seeing dew points that are in the mid to upper 60s. When these numbers come in the fall, that means it's going to be humid overnight. You can thank the south winds that are blowing. We did have a little weak front that tried to sneak in earlier. That has been overcome by these southerly winds, and that's why we're seeing the cloud cover and the temperatures that are seen in the 60s and the 70s right now. Radar not showing you much right now, but we were seeing a few showers that were working over parts